Let's see if we can live up to the expectations. The topic ahead of us is circular success stories from different cities, tangible, relatable examples from around the world, how to use data to drive sustainable strategies. Here to address this issue, Michał Łakomski, Director of Digitalization and Cybersecurity Office, Plenipotentiary of the Mayor of the City of Poznań, Smart City Poznań. Jason Whitted, Head of Cities at Amazon Web Services, Alessandro Zaccaria, Investment Director at 360 Capital, and the chair of today's discussion, Anna Kowalewska, partner at Deloitte. The bar has been raised high enough. Let us all agree on that. Let's welcome our guests with applause, please. And let's enjoy the last discussion of the first day of the summit. Over to you.
Thank you very much for introducing us, and I think that this is really nice that we are just following Graciela and her fantastic remark on how data collection and how data basically is the biggest catalyst for change. I'm Anna Kowalewska. I'm a partner at Deloitte, and I will have a great pleasure to moderate the panel today. And as we have a fantastic panel of speakers, maybe let's start with a quick round of introductions so that you can share what is your current focus and role. Michał, over to you.
Thank you. My name is Michał Łakomski. I'm the mayor's proxy for Smart City in the city of Poznań from 2017, and I'm also a director of Digitalization and Cybersecurity Office. I mainly focus on digital solutions for the city. However, I touch all the other subjects of Smart City in city of Poznań.
Hey everybody, Jason Whitted. I'm with AWS. I'm based in London. You can probably tell I'm American. I'm working my way east. My focus, I'm part of the government transformation team, and we help governments navigate the digital transformation, and my particular focus and passion is helping cities.
Super. Over to you, Alessandro.
Thank you. Here, Alessandro Zaccaria from 360 Capital. 360 Capital is a venture capital firm with 2 offices, Milan and Paris. We have $500 million in asset under management, and what we do is investment at the early stage overall in deep tech and ecological transition.
Super, thank you. So I think that let's start with maybe first questions, or first round of questions where we will explore the actual needs and solutions that are available. As I see cities as interesting labs for circular solutions, as given the diversity and density of various processes and processing cycles, production cycles, and consumption within cities. It is a testing lab in many cases for interesting solutions. Yet, despite an elevated global effort, we see that actual implementation of circular solutions is not advancing at pace that we would expect. It is a very complex topic, and data are crucial. So, Michał, what is your perspective on this? What type of data are needed, and what you would expect to see in terms of solutions, technologies available to support your circularity objectives?
Thank you. Well, at the beginning, I would like to underline that we are now in the moment when we are talking about the smart cities, we are talking about the data. But this is our new invention. Like when I started being a mayor's proxy in 2017, and I started talking about data in case of smart cities, some people were surprised why you keep on talking about data. Let's talk about the solutions. This was the time where people were more focused on gadgets maybe, and gadget solutions for the cities, not taking care as much as possible or as much as needed about the data. Now this understanding that data is crucial is better, and all the conferences that touch the subject of smart cities start with the data and data management. and how it looks in the cities. On the example of city of Poznań, we still learn how to use the data. We've been using data before, but not on a big scale. What we are more used to is using data in bigger scopes, and after some period of time, when we are looking at the data from previous years and then decide what to do within the next years, we still learn how to deal with online data when we can make decisions based on the real time. And I think this is still something that is in front of us. To achieve it, we need several things that has to happen. First of all, we need to deal with the systems and with the solutions, digital solutions that provide the data for us, and it of course costs us money, and we need to deal with the limited budget, of course. So. Decisions, what to invest in the beginning, how to deal with the islands, different digital islands that we have, because the systems were being bought in different periods of time, and people who were making decisions and then taking the systems from the developer did not see the perspective that in the future they will cooperate with the other systems, and they have to have the proper data prepared to cooperate with other systems. So this is something that we are still focusing on, learning it. And another thing that we need is the competences that we are building, and it's not easy for us as a public sector to gain the top quality data managers from the market, because we are competing on a difficult IT market with private companies. However, we have a mission, and we are learning people how to deal it, and some of them who has this feeling of a mission inside, they stay with us, and they change the world. In case of circularity, what we are dealing with is of course the congestion, the waste management, the air quality, as well as education, investments in the city, housing, and like all the aspects in general that city is touching. It's connected with the circularity and using data to make better decisions. I think this is something that I start with.
Thank you very much. And Jason, how do you think data can, what is your perspective, how data can support addressing the challenges that policymakers, city officials are currently facing, and what solutions are available at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me take one step back and just say, I wanted to make sure to give a shout out to the Urban Tech crew. I think this is a wonderful conference. Was anybody here last year? Show of hands. I think it was great last year, but this is even better. And so part of the solution is having these convenings and these conversations. I really enjoyed the session so far, and the sponsors, if you haven't been over, like all kinds of amazing companies. So you mentioned it's hard. This is part of that solution, and I think good things will come out of this. So going back to data. So data, almost everything digital comes back to data, right? It's a foundational, essential ingredient. And if you look over the last period, the evolution in technologies have made it easier to have more data, better data, to be able to share that data, use that data, get insights from that data. So that's been a really powerful, I think, evolution, and it's going more and more. I mean, almost all of the talk this year has been about Gen AI, and what I think you're seeing is that journey from open data to open wisdom. And if you go back, like, 10 years or so, kind of at the dawn of smart cities, it was all about having open data. You had to have an open data platform. And open data is great, but it turns out, unless you're a data scientist, unless you have time and skills, just giving somebody raw data isn't all that helpful. What people want to know is the answer. They want the actionable intelligence. And so I think you're seeing a lot more investment now in how do you go and take data and get the answer. And in the context of a city, cities have things that they do, right? They have different departments, different staff. There's different business processes. And I think what a lot of people are figuring out now is what are those algorithms, what are those recipes to take the raw ingredient of data and turn it into the answers that people are looking for. One, to give insights for decision making, but two, to support the automation and to support all of the other things that come next, like digital twins and AI, ML, all of those things. So that was a lot, but hopefully some of that was helpful.
Very helpful. And I think that you both mentioned the need for integration to some extent, either through system or having an integrated solutions, not only looking at silos within cities, as both sustainability, circularity are topics that are cross department.
Yeah, and just on that, I think Ulrich is here. He talked earlier about data spaces. And so if you look at that evolution, it used to be, wow, we've got a data lake. We can put all our data in one lake. And then it was like, we have a data mesh and we can kind of share. Now this ability that's made possible by the evolutions of technology to have data spaces where you're able to let data live where it wants to live, but be able to share it through APIs and have better data, more timely data, and be able to bring actors together that before couldn't share and now can. So that integration is a big part, and I think it's really having a moment.
Super, thank you. So we see that private sector is picking up on those solutions. So I'm interested, Alessandro, what solutions are currently being pitched to you, and how do you assess their relevance?
Yes. So to give you like a background on 360 Capital, we have different verticals. One is classic digital with all the B2B SaaS solution. Second, we have the deep tech, and third one is ecological transition. What we see in the market is that, now it's they all know that there is a market downturn for valuation for the VC ecosystem. What we see is that when that it's true for, let's say, the classic, digital B2B SaaS, fintech, it's not the same for deep tech. Because what we see is that when we talk about deep tech, when you talk about ecological transition, if there is a technology that really supports and helps, help what we should achieve as our target of 2050, the net zero emission. Let's see if we get closer. At least, this will remain. So on one side, we are seeing a decreasing in both like number and quality of number of deals in as a whole, let's say, as a VC ecosystem. But on the digital, on the deep tech and the ecological transition, let's say that the number are still somehow growing for multiple reasons. One is that what we need in order to achieve the target is to have disruptive technology. So we cannot achieve that net zero emission with some incremental innovation. We just need disruption. And that's something that, of course, the market value. And another part that is very important is that what we see like all over Europe is that corporates, they are pushing a lot for innovation, more than in the past. So that you can see also on the investor point of view for us. Let's say the percentage of LPs in VC funds as corporate, it's increasing, and that is pushing also for this kind of solution, this kind of startups that are coming to the market. So again, deep tech and ecological transition. This is one part. On the other topic, so how do we assess that? So, for a really high level point of view, of course, we should we assess, on one side the technological risk, then we have the commercial risk and the execution. What we do like is to take the technological risk. So let's say, okay, I like the market. It's a big market, big opportunity. It's very challenging. I take the risk. So on this technology. Second is the commercial. So what we do as an early stage, what we want to see is that, this technology, okay, it's there, but I mean, we need to see that there is a market as well, and the go-to-market strategy. And third, what we see, and we value a lot, is the execution, so basically the team. And we assess that, we assess all those three KPI together, and that's what we do as investors. And of course, for us, being ecological transition investor, to work in that area as a startup, it's enabler for us also for investments.
Thank you. I think interesting tips for the audience as well, especially those working with in startups. So we see that a growing number of cities is preparing their sustainability and circularity strategies, exploring what circularity means for them. This is in many cases done in collaboration with private sector. So now we want to move a bit to the actual examples and success stories. And Michał, again, we'll start with you and Smart City Poznań app, as there is a component specifically engaging on waste management, which is a part of circularity solutions. So what functionalities are currently there, and what is your plan to take it forward, expand? What is the next step?
I think to give you a wider example about waste management and data-based management in the city of Poznań, I think it's worth to start with the very simple data that we started, because a few years ago we had a common waste management system with the surrounding smaller cities. And the data that we take into consideration was the price that the citizens are paying. And it appeared that the citizens of the city of Poznań are paying more because the people who live in the surrounding little cities, they live in houses, while people in the city of Poznań live in apartment houses, few storage. So there is a bigger congestion of people and they should pay less. So we decided to step back from the union and develop the system for the city itself. At the beginning we had to collect the information, what is the need of particular housing for waste collection. So it was a big action when we collected the declaration from the citizens. 50% of them were collected digitally only, and it let us implement this data directly to the back office system. So we didn't have to rewrite them by my colleagues who work in this department. Now, what you've mentioned, we have an application, Smart City Poznań, which has a variety of options, but one of them is dedicated to waste management. And the basic solution is you just put the address of your location and you get the push information where the particular waste collection will take place, so you don't have to worry to remember to put the bags outside of your house, because it reminds you the day before that you should do it. But it's only a basic solution. We have some more, including also an education system that brings more information to the citizens, how to properly segregate the waste, and what are the options where you can deliver the unusual waste, when is it collected, where is it collected. We put the information to the map also when there is a special car who collects the bigger waste, and so on. So looking at that, there is a variety of information delivered in a mobile app, which is used by 20,000 users at the moment. And we believe that the number of people who are using the app will grow. But I wanted also to add something to what Jason was saying about the data, that we can collect the more data. There are solutions for that, of course. There are hardware solutions for that and services. However, we have to avoid the trap where we will have too much data to deal with, because this would cause the lack of interest, lack of focus on everything. So what's on our goal is thinking what is the particular data that gives us ability to make better decision, and focus only on that. Like all the others can be collected, but we need to present like 6 datas to the mayor, and they make him make a decision better. That's it.
So if I jump in on that, the next 10 years, I think, are really about algorithms. And if you think about it, like, your mom, there's a favorite recipe that you had growing up, right? And if you open up your pantry, there's some ingredients you need to be able to make that. And you go and say,
lobster.
Lobster, there you go. Congratulations. And so when you think of the things that cities do, right, there's a process, whether you're doing building inspections or you're doing road maintenance or you're doing voting or, any of the things that cities do, there's a recipe. Is it 5 data sets, 7 data sets? And so I think the really big thing is, what is the right algorithm to take these processes from, analog to digitize them, and then ideally be able to automate and all those other things. So instead of just saying, I need all the data, what's the specific data you need, and can you get it? Can you make sure it's really good?
And what you want to have on the dashboard at the end,
Yep, absolutely.
So relevant, useful data and small number of indicators rather than overload of data that are not supporting. So continuing on success stories, Jason, again to you, as AWS has Sustainable Cities Accelerator. No problem. So Sustainable Cities Accelerator is supporting startups and companies to scale up. What are the success stories from this, and also how does it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite Amazonian sayings is everyone's got great intentions, but in order to make great intentions be anything, you need mechanisms to bring them to life. All of you have great ideas, and what are the things you need to take those ideas from your head and make them real? And so we have a number of mechanisms. One of them is the Sustainable Cities Accelerator. There's others like the Clean Energy Accelerator, and then there's also the Sustainability Data Initiative that makes 181 data sets available. The Sustainable Cities Accelerator is a 6-week program in collaboration with Freshwater Advisors, and it's meant to help people who all of you entrepreneurs be able to go and refine all the things I think you probably do as an investor, help people get the technical assistance, the business assistance, the introductions to really refine their offering and be able to succeed, grow, get revenue, and do all the things that you want to do in the space. It was created in 2021. And I think it's gone through 3 cohorts. And then just thinking of some success stories in circular space, there was actually one I met today. One of the companies that's here. Have you guys met EcoBean? So they take coffee grounds and then they solve the problem of collecting them, and then they turn them into raw materials. So I thought that was amazing, and I wanted to give them a call out. The other, which I'm kind of excited about, I wanted to mention Octopus Energy. So I live in London. I don't know if anyone's here in England, but they've got vehicle to grid, which somebody mentioned this morning, which allows you to go and sell back your energy to the grid. And another that they have, you have an app from Octopus, and you can go and gamify and see how you're using energy and be able to go, if I turn these lights off or turn this thermostat down, how can I reduce my consumption? So I think there's a whole bunch of tools like that that are helpful. Another one around circular is Rubicon. They're a partner of AWS, and they help cities better understand what waste is being collected and how it's being collected. And so being able to optimize the collection to reduce the effort and the cost there, but also ideally to be able to reduce the amount of waste that's being collected, and then also be able to direct certain types of waste. So here's, I think a great example of someone coming in and disrupting a pretty long-standing industry. So those are just a couple examples. A couple more which I can share with you, and just how those accelerators are working. There is a NGO, First Step, that's been able to take the sustainability data on weather, take fuel data from the U.S. Department of Wildlife, and be able to go and create an index on fire risk. So you can go and look, and if you're investing someplace, if you're building, if you live someplace, you can understand your fire risk as fires are getting more prevalent and larger. So those are just a couple examples.
Very interesting examples. And Alessandro, what are the examples from your portfolio, or maybe the most impactful example that you've seen so far?
So let's say that as investors, sometimes we are in love, temporarily with some startups. So right now, I mean, the one I'm in love with is the name is Circular Material. What they do is purifying water. Also, because I mean, if we think like on circular economy, which is the most important, let's say, I mean, object that we have in the world that they do, I mean, recycling, I mean, by itself, water, I mean, from river to sea, and then all the process. So this is one part. The second part is, I mean, when we listen, sometimes it happens like water, you cannot swim there, or you cannot drink the water because there is too much of whatever metal, Yeah. It's like, but what do you mean? What's too much? I mean, there shouldn't be there any metal, It's like, what's the bar? I mean, it doesn't make sense. And so what we discovered, I mean, doing this market research was that, I mean, it can be like an industrial player, it can be like a mine. Basically, what they do is, I mean, to solve the problem of the pollution of the water, there are two different solutions for that. The first one, and maybe the most used one, is just not to think about that. So this is the first one. And the second one is just to put more water in order to dilute more the metals actually in the water, And that's something that maybe we don't think that much because we think it's like, no, maybe it's more, in whatever, India, they do this kind of stuff there, but it's not. Also here in Europe, we do that like everywhere, So this company, Circular Material, that is an Italian-based company, what we do is doing both stuff, with a process, let's say, it's a really deep tech company with a complex process. What they do is basically they get in as an input the water, together, of course, with those metals. And what they do is separate, the pure water on one side, and this is the first output. On the second part, what they do is divide and separate different type of metals in order to reuse it and resell it. So I mean, just to give you an example, of course, I mean, there is a gold mine in Turkey. There is a client of them. I mean, they were like losing also gold because it was like together with the water. So it's not bad also to, on one side, you purify the water, and the other side also you increase the value of what you're producing. So this is a company that, for me, it is like a good example of combining data, because I mean the starting point was the pollution of the water, and on the other side, I mean the solution is basically circular economy solution that let's say improve the quality of the water like everywhere. But I mean another company that I would like to also highlight, and this is just about data. It's like less circular, but it's more data. I mean, when we talk about energy transition, we say solar panels, wind farm, whatever. I mean, we think that it's like without any cost, it will come somehow, but it's not like that, So in order to make real this energy transition, I mean, we need to make economic viable all these renewable sources in the end. And how do you do that? I mean, it's or you wait, for the war that will end, and then the gas price will decrease, or maybe on the other side, I mean, what you should do is to work the data. We have another company in Austria. The name is Inspired. It's like the second love that I have right now. What they do is actually energy trading as a service. So basically, increase at the maximum level the value of the energy, because I mean we need to have like renewable energy that is more economic. It's cheaper. It's not just because it does not pollute. It should be like interesting from an economic point of view. And this company, basically, it's like an AI company that they leverage the data in order to make the renewable sources and then, of course, the batteries connected to that economic viable and interesting, and from an economic point of view. So, and this is like another example on how much data are important and are key for disrupting, what we see in terms of ecological transition.
Thanks so much. Great examples. And as we have last 5 minutes of our panel, I would like to ask each of you to share your view on what is the key success factor for solutions to be actually implemented at scale, to give advice to the audience, and maybe changing the order a bit, as you have a microphone already, Jason, starting with you.
Yeah, no, happy to. Again, I think if you look, I feel like this is a unique moment in smart cities. If you go back, say, it's 15 years, 2008, when it kind of really got going, I feel like that first era, right, was really about all this technology landed in our lap. What can we do with it? And people were throwing out ideas, but they weren't necessarily aligned to the priorities of city leaders. And I think things have evolved where the point of entry isn't necessarily central IT and going to the CIO anymore. It's much more working with people in the lines of business, people that understand the trade craft of how to operate a city and how to deliver services. And what I think we're seeing more of is those people are more comfortable with the cloud and with data and with machine learning and IoT. And so for you, it's really about listening to what they've prioritized, listen to what they're budgeting for, listening to what they're staffing, and getting into the weeds and understanding what it is they're doing. What is the business process? Where are the failures, the dependencies? And can you build solutions which make it easier for them to go and be able to do the things that they have prioritized? And I think you're seeing the successful companies, the ones that are able to scale from city to city, are doing that.
Thank you. And Michał, what is your view?
It's very complex, and starting with what Jason said, that now we have ability to deal with data because of the solutions, the cloud and everything, and it makes our work more interesting, and we can gain people with better competences working together, because they have a feeling they do something really important, and their job working in a city hall, it's as important or even more important than working for a business, because we're using the similar tools. So this is one thing. And second thing is there was a trend to listen citizens and do what they want. And I think it's a blind end, because it's rather the city representatives who has to understand the needs and develop the solutions, and then convince the citizens that this is what they really need, and then implement it. This is the recipe for a success, I think.
Thank you. And what is your recipe, Alessandra?
So for me, again, first one should be like technology. We should leverage all the engineers that we have in Europe, all the tech competencies, in order to achieve the goals that we should achieve in order to tackle the climate change. So first of all, this one, because as I said before, this is a key success factor. So I would focus a lot on technology. So this is first, because it's like we cannot achieve our goal without that. Second is sustainability. But in the, let's say, from an economic point of view, when you have like when you develop a new technology, you should not just focus on that and then to see. I mean, maybe in the future it would be like a big market, and you wait for that without like any market fit, you know. So sustainability in terms of the company should be sustainable from a, let's say, an economic point of view from the beginning, and to have like a let's say a practical approach. Also, when you deal with this, can be like circular data, ecological transition, whatever. But those two, for me, are the most important aspects that we should focus on.
Thanks so much. So we actually touched upon the topic of the planet boundaries, of people and their needs. And with your remarks, we close with prosperity and economic angle. So thank you very much for the very interesting discussion. And I hope that we will see you all during the networking event in the evening. Thank you.
Anna has already pre-announced the networking event. We have 20 seconds left, but if you happen to have a single question to our panelists, we have one. So, can we approach the microphone?
Don't let him ask a question.
Censorship in action, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, I do have two questions, one for the gentleman from Poznan and one for Jason. I think there is no dumb city. So we need to remember that smart
You would be surprised.
Anyway, that brings me to a point to gentleman from Poznan. I think it's great to see some cities using technology to transform. But we're living in a moment where genuinely people call it the iPhone moment. We're seeing something that's going to last for the next 30 years with us and transform cities. But you feel the speed between the city's adoption versus the technology curve is significantly different. One at 10 miles an hour, one at 200 miles an hour. So what are your thoughts on that? And Jason, you gave two examples that I like and I'm familiar with: one waste, one energy. So the surplus of energy going to the grid is proven, yet is not taking off. Question mark. Is it because utility companies are not ready to sacrifice something? It doesn't fit in their business model? Is it financially sustainable for them? And the second one is the waste. And that's an area I invested in for years. It's proven 75% reduction in waste collection and CO2 emission, yet no pickup, because no waste company want to sacrifice 75% of their current revenue, which is based on collecting air, even if it's air. So what are your thoughts on that?
So our poor panelists thought they were in for a nice glass of wine, and then there he comes.
Well, I think we have to change the way we think about strategy and the time scope we think about strategy. Well, if you define a strategy in a 20-year time, you can do it if you think about a park, because the trees will grow and it takes time. But if you think about public transportation, I'm not sure what we're gonna use for transportation in the cities within the next 20 years. So in the areas where technology can have a higher impact, then the strategy should be shorter, or it can be long, but it has to be agile and changed with every, I don't know, 3 years. This is the time scope I think about. So this was your question, and I think was another part of the question, or was it that? That's fine, thank you.
Are we at time? Are we good?
Yeah, it's the last panel, so if I answered we have no time, I wouldn't be exactly truthful.
So let me just tell you a quick story. I used to live in Boston, in the North End, which was the Italian neighborhood. And the city of Boston wanted to launch their recycling program. And they brought all these blue bins to all the neighbors, and they just disappeared. And the city didn't know where they went. And it turned out that the bins were absolutely perfect for growing tomatoes. And so if you went up to the roofs, you saw all these blue bins, and everyone was using their recycling bins to grow tomatoes. And so what the city, it's all about, I think your question is about behavior change, and how do you get people to change the things that they do. And part of the process in Boston was going and getting local leaders and stakeholders to go and encourage people because they thought it was snooty. If you recycled, you had heirs and you were being fancy. And so it's really figuring out what's the recipe and getting into hardcore community engagement to, I think, help change those behaviors. I don't know if that answers, but we'll talk more over wine.
Thank you very much. Anna, Alessandro, Jason, Michal, thank you once again. Thank you.